To the start of chapter 8. We're actually going to be skipping chapter 7 for a little bit. We'll come back to it, and then we're going to be going into chapter 8. And we got someone who definitely wants to say hi this morning, and we got Charlie who's just trying to bite my arm. So she's always happy when there's a math lesson around. So today what we're actually talking about is parallel lines. Okay, so parallel lines is when you have two lines that continue and they never intersect. Okay, so if they go on forever and ever, so just imagine, even though I have my lines stopping on my whiteboard, they still continue to go on past the whiteboard, and just imagine that they're going around the world over and over and over again. Okay, what's happening is these two lines, the distance between them at any 2 points, okay, the distance between these two lines. So if I was to measure, and if this was 5 centimeters, and then if I go like 2 kilometers away and I measure it again, it should be the same, assuming that they're parallel. Okay, what we can actually do is we can use a symbol to try to represent parallel lines, and we'll use something like this. So it'll be kind of like an arrow showing that they're going in the same direction. Now, if we were to have multiple parallel lines, so for example, I have these vertical ones, these ones that I showed to use the distance. Okay, if they were parallel, I would use kind of like a double arrow. Okay, so that shows me that I have two sets of parallel lines within this picture. Okay, so as we're getting into your project, we are doing you're going to be designing, and I'll send another video about it. So what you need to do is you make sure that within your park you have several sets of parallel lines. And when you look through the outline that's being made, that's on the sheet that the teachers are sharing with you, you have to have several sets of parallel lines. And it can be pathways, it can be walking paths, it can be within the garden. So you can have the garden broken up into different sections. And you have specific criteria for each of those things. So you need to make sure that you have your parallel lines. So what I have here is I actually have a more complex example. Okay, so if you wanted to pause the video, take a screenshot of this. Don't worry about the letters on the outside. That's not really important. Okay, if you want to take a screenshot of it, pause the video, try to identify all the possible parallel lines. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go through those right now. Okay, so as we're looking through it, it is a little bit complicated. However, we do have certain sets of parallel lines. Okay, what we actually have is we have this line here and this line here. They happen to be parallel. Okay, I believe we can also say that this one is parallel. So we have 3 lines that are parallel with each other. So they would keep going on and on and on forever. We also have this line and this line. They are running parallel with each other. Okay, when we look down here, we can say that this line here, and this line here are all running parallel with each other. Okay, so I did freehand this from another picture. These are the parallel lines that are being represented through this picture. Some of you might say that these two are parallel. In the picture they weren't, but if you said that, that's awesome, because they do look like they could be parallel lines. Okay. All right, at that time, that's basically it. If you understand the parallel lines, that's awesome. When you go through your Math Makes Sense, it's going to be asking you what are parallel lines, which ones are not, how you can draw them, how you can recognize them, how you can represent them. Okay, so I had a colleague friend who used to kind of mess with students, and it's the exact same thing. If that symbol is there, they are parallel lines. Okay, that's just the symbol. So she would constantly draw stuff like this, and then she would draw this symbol, and the students would be like, no, look at them, they're going to cross. And she's like, no, this takes precedence over my bad drawing. So as long as you see those symbols on those lines, you can recognize that they are parallel lines. Okay, that's kind of the biggest takeaway that I can give you for this lesson. Okay, once again, if you have any questions, you can always send an email. You can send a Hangout message. You can join the Zoom chats. We'll go over it with our weekly Zoom meetings as well. So just ask any questions that you may have just for clarification. Enjoy math.